Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. When Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta jetted into the country after a short sabbatical political leave from the UK, he made an announcement that was very assertive. While being hosted by Kalonzo Musyoka in Ukambani, Uhuru stated that I am in Azimio to stay and I'm not afraid of telling it to the whole world because my political forefathers taught me to be straight, honest, and steadfast. And with that announcement, very many other political activities were then to follow within the Azimio fraternity. Remember, Uhuru Kenyatta is also the chairman of the Azimio Council. He's got some authority there. Now, a few days after that announcement, there have been reports that the coalition is being ruffled by some, disagreements, especially when it comes to the Nadco report. And it is reported very clearly that Uhuru Kenyatta is against that report. In some media sources, it was reported that Uhuru wanted to sabotage. Now, what is coming out very clearly is that the former president has convened meetings to try and convince Raila to reject that report. Now, as we delve into this, I want us to get it right. Uhuru Kenyatta was the president of this country. He led this country for 10 years. It is you to judge whether he was a better leader than William Ruto. But one thing I can state very categorically is that Uhuru really cared for Kenyans. That is very evident how he really cushioned Kenyans during the corona pandemic. And he reduced, taxes and all that. Uhuru has also worked very closely with William Samoei Ruto. So he understands William Ruto, and in fact, he even warned Kenyans not to elect Ruto. And that is the reason why we are facing these consequences. He has also worked very closely with Raila Amolo Odinga. Now, there's something that we need to state. Uhuru signed a secret deal with Raila Amolo Odinga, and they had that handshake that was being planned behind the scenes, and not even the closest allies of both Uhuru and Raila knew about it until the day they shook hands. So when it comes to handshakes and negotiations after elections, Uhuru understands what is happening. The third thing, Uhuru knows very well that the forces that were behind their agreement, their ceasefire with Raila Amolo Odinga are the very forces that compelled William Ruto and Raila Odinga to form this National Dialogue Committee. Because in the Uhuru era, you saw Chris Coons, the US Delaware Senator, come to the country. And after that, there was a handshake. In this one, between Raila and Ruto, several forces were there. And Chris Coons, I think, was the last man to be in the country. And then we heard of a National Dialogue Committee that was formed. So when we begin from there, we will understand why Uhuru Kenyatta has got some reservations about this bipartisan talk. While he feels that it should be rejected in totality, Raila is saying that this is a step towards even a more serious document that we'll have as a nation. Those who are close to Raila are saying that Raila understands so well that some of the recommendations in that document will need a referendum, something that he knows very well Ruto will not accept. And that is why he accepted it. And the pro-Raila team are saying that Raila is much wiser than we can think. But those who support Uhuru are saying that Raila, being a man who's very accommodative, a statesman as usual, will always give in very fast when the forces are with him, and he puts the country's interests at heart, and in that process he is duped, sort of. So those are facts that are on the table. So we have two people who have been at the heart of post-election ceasefire. Raila did it in 2007 when he became a prime minister. He did it in 2013 when Jimmy Wanjigi tells us that it was in his house where they met and they had some tea for a ceasefire. And in 2017, Raila did it with Uhuru again. So Raila has been at the center of these handshakes, ceasefire, and these bipartisan talks. In 2022, Raila is also there, and Uhuru was also at the center of it. So both of them understand what is happening. But for us to understand where Uhuru is coming from, I want us to look at 4 aspects that really Uhuru Kenyatta cannot stomach. Number 1, Uhuru says that the cost of living has not been dealt with. And many agree that indeed the agenda of the cost of living has not been dealt with, because Uhuru knows very well that when he initiated and placed subsidies on very vital basic commodities, William Ruto removed them. And Uhuru knows that the reason why these subsidies were removed is because of the pressure from the IMF, World Bank, and all those international bodies that do not want Kenyans to progress, because there isn't any country that has progressed when the World Bank and the IMF are in control of the economic affairs. And Uhuru knew very well that he was being pressured even during his tenure. And so when he sees this document is crafted, but the agenda on the economy and the cost of living is opaque, he does not want it. He also understands that taxes that have been introduced, like the one that was contained in the Finance Bill 2023, is the main elephant in the room. And so it is very true that the cost of living has not been dealt with. But remember, these people, when they were campaigning, they used Uhuru's name and they accused him as the man, together with Raila, who had messed up the economy. And they said they had a blueprint, an economic blueprint that would resuscitate our economy. Now, to make it even worse, they still want to use Uhuru's name as a shield. For example, recently we have had rampant, blackouts in our major international airport. And then Murkomen and Rigathi Gachagua have got the guts of saying that the generators are not working and they were purchased during the Uhuru era. Even if they were purchased during the Uhuru era, they have been working until this government came to place. And this is what vexes Uhuru Kenyatta, that they used his name, they are unable to develop an economy and resuscitate it, they're still using his name. And he knows that Kenyans are suffering. And this is the reason why he's trying to convince the Azimio to ignore and reject this report in totality. Uhuru is also coming from a background where this same kind of agreement, the BBI, was maliciously rejected by the courts, citing that it was initiated by the president. Yet he understands very well that even in this Nadco report, it was the president, William Ruto, and Raila Odinga, as it was during the BBI, so it is during the Nadco. And he does not understand why we must apply different standards. If BBI was rejected, then this one must also be rejected, because both of them were initiated by who? By the president. And so this is the reason why he's against this. The other thing is that Uhuru knows very well that William Ruto rejected some of the proposals that were in the BBI, creation of a prime minister's office, because it was agreed that the main disease that we have is a winner takes it all. And several offices were created to ensure that Kenyans feel that they are part and parcel of a government. Look at what is happening in Uganda. The other day, when Ruto invited Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to come and celebrate with us our Jamhuri Day, Museveni did not come, did not send his deputy, did not send a prime minister, but a deputy prime minister. Now, how many offices are those? A president, a deputy, a prime minister, and I think the deputies are more than one. When it happens that way, let us agree. I know it comes with some cost and expenses, but when you expand the executive, it gives room, it accommodates many people, and they feel that they're part and parcel of our country. But William Ruto rejected and accused them of creating offices for dynasties. And Uhuru understands this, and this is why he cannot understand why we are now giving William Ruto, a ladder, a platform to meet his goals. Because in the Nadco report, he's now going to create an office of a prime minister, an office of opposition leader, the 2/3 gender rule. I mean, and these constitutional offices. Now, William Ruto is using this to achieve his agenda, which could also be good for the country. But Uhuru is looking at it as a man who had rejected all this because it was good then. Or maybe let me put it this way. It wasn't good then. It was a creation of offices for dynasties. Why is it that William Ruto has now accepted that he wants Musalia Mudavadi to be given that proper office? He wants Kenyans to understand the fallacy behind our leadership and the Kenya Kwanza. And this is why he is rejecting this. The other thing that is coming out very clearly is the 1 man, 1 shillings, 1 vote. It was also in the bipartisan, the bipartisan talk between Uhuru and Raila Amolo Odinga. This was something that was going to be, it was good for the Mount Kenya and for the entire country. There were regions that were going to be added, some constituencies and some wards. And when constituencies are added, more money will be coming into those regions, more offices, and of course more job creation. Rigathi Gachagua, together with William Ruto, rejected this. Now the Mount Kenya fraternity are crying foul. People like Anne Waiguru have stated it, that they need the 1 man, 1 shillings, 1 vote. And Uhuru feels that this is the right time to tackle this. There is no need of rushing with a document that does not carry the aspirations of the people of Kenya. We should not rush with the half-baked document. That is what he feels. Well, Raila is saying we should start with this as we progress. So that is the bone of contention. Uhuru feels that we should take our time, clean our mess, accept that we made a mistake, now come up with a proper document that is very holistic. Because we cannot help Ruto achieve his agenda in the Nadco report, yet the main elephant in the room is the cost of living. We must reduce the prices of the basic commodities. We must reduce the taxes. Because when Uhuru was in power, the IMF was also there. He refused their demands. He refused things like GMO. But William Ruto is coming and accepting it. So, ladies and gentlemen, the bone of contention between Uhuru and Raila is to me is a honest one. And while both of them are right, Raila feels let us begin from here as we move on. Uhuru says no. Let us have a holistic document. Let us look at all the corners and come up with the proper document. We cannot have a document that does not deal with the cost of living in its entirety. And on this, I support, because William Ruto is cunning. I've told you that they worked with Uhuru Kenyatta, and Uhuru Kenyatta understands him. What do you think? What is your take about Uhuru's move? Because those who support Kenya Kwanza say that Uhuru wants to sabotage this government to fail. If you ask me, this government has already failed. Blame games and promises. But those who support Uhuru is saying that Uhuru is right. We need to get it right now, or else forever we shall mess. Whenever we have an opportunity to talk about a document and we have spent time and money, we should come up with a clean document. And on this, I think Uhuru is right.